too much shit. I'm always too many things. There we go. Hello, we are doing a tag video today. I don't remember the name of the booktuber who created the tag, but they're a very new channel and I will link them down below if you want to check out their original video and their channel. And it is called the All the Feels tag and I'm very excited to do it. But before we do that, okay, I've already had this page before, but we are going to do it again. Duende? In Spain and Portugal, the word duende refers to spirits like goblins or sprites. Like the English term goblin, duende is a vague term. A duende may be any kind of small spirit. In general, they are associated with wild nature, very like a spirit. Although the word is sometimes also used to indicate small household helper spirits, like a brownie or lutein. They are mischievous and sometimes have a wicked sense of humor, but are generally not harmful, although there are exceptions. In parts of Latin America, however, the term duende refers to a more specific type of spirit. Duendes are tiny ghosts, souls of fetuses and unbaptized infants. They are hungry, persistent, nagging ghosts. It is difficult to reason with them or propitiate them because they do not speak or comprehend. They just yearn and crave. The most dangerous duendes are souls of undesired, discarded newborn infants who have been killed or just abandoned and left for dead. Duendes haunt sources of fresh water, rivers, streams, or springs, but they usually try to rejoin the families into which they had anticipated being born. It is unclear whether they are angry and intend to cause harm or whether their presence alone is sufficiently toxic. They are potentially harmful, especially to living siblings who are often the only ones able to see them. Duendes should be professionally exorcised, but because they are the result of secret pregnancies, they are left to cause illness and harm. Wow, that's kind of dark. So, All the Feels tag. The first prompt question, whatever, is a book or book series that makes you smile. And I thought this was gonna be easy. And it has to be like, you know, happy vibes only. So something that's like, I really don't read a lot of happy shit. You know what? Yeah, I got one. I had to pick Shadow of the Fox. And the reason that I'm picking this one is that it really does have very cute, happy vibes to it, despite the fact that there is looming threat and possible death at every corner, and the way that it ends is not exactly the happiest, but it makes me smile because it is a young adult that I have genuinely enjoyed, and I want to continue with the series, which, you know, young adult has been very missed for me in the past quite often. But this one was just great. And honestly, the like grumpy sunshine relationship in this book is adorable and it really does make me smile. And the main character, her innocence and her general happiness and curiosity about the world is it's just so cute. So this one does make me smile. Okay, the next one is a book or series that fills you with rage, and this is an easy one. Dune. I fucking hated this book. I still don't understand why so many people enjoy it and revere it. I mean, I get that it's a sci-fi classic, and so many people say that, like, this was, like, the first sci-fi, and it inspired the future of science fiction novels and whatever, and I'm like, okay, but it genuinely sucks. Like, you can't tell me that it's not boring as shit. Like, gosh, I just remember so many times while I was reading it, I was like, something interesting has got to happen at some point, right? And like, even when something interesting did happen, it kind of just glosses over it, like some action scene or something. It's like, okay, they're fighting over here, but let's go look over here while people are having a political debate. No, I want to see what's happening in the fight there. And then by the time you come back, you're like, oh, well, that person won. Cool. Now let's talk about the politicalness of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And honestly, the mom of the boy, I don't even remember the fucking names because I don't care. But the mom of the boy is such a bitch. She's such a bitch. And I get that it's like the whole your duty or the love for your son, like, what do you love more? Whatever. I'm just like, really? And then the son was so meek and so quiet all the time. He's just felt so easily manipulated in all the directions. I don't know. I genuinely don't understand why people love this so much. It's very boring and the writing is just bleh. Number 3, a book that brought tears to your eyes. There are 2 that I can mention here, so I will mention 2. I currently do not have the other book that has brought me to tears, but I quite literally was crying when I finished The Hunger of the Gods. I was at the climbing gym. They have couches at the climbing gym that I go to. I was waiting for friends and I was finishing this book and I literally was just crying on the couch, and I know a few people were looking at me like I was fucking weird, but this book made me so sad with the way it ended, and I need that 3rd book. I need it so bad. And then the other book that also made me cry is the 3rd book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, which is The Poison Song. I don't have the copy with me right now because I'm lending it out to a friend. I ugly cried for The Poison Song. I ugly cried bad. I went to bed crying and Ryan was looking at me. He was like, what's wrong? I was like, it was so good, but it was so sad. So yeah, it was a lot of emotions. Okay, number 4 is a book that keeps you laughing. A book that keeps me laughing. Honestly, I don't think I ever really read books that make me laugh. I read some pretty depressing shit mostly, so if I laugh, like, I mean, there is always some comedy sometimes in books, but something that always keeps me laughing? I tend to forget that I read this. That's what happens with novellas. You just forget you read them. But A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Harrow. This one did make me laugh almost the whole way through. Like, I mean, it's still sad. This girl has like a fucking incurable disease, terminal disease, thank you. There was just a lot of humor in this, and I do remember just generally having a lot of fun with it and laughing quite a bit. I know that this is the first book in a series of novellas. I think the other book is A Mirror Mended, but it's so expensive to buy novellas. The only reason I own this one is because my mother bought it for me. But I don't think I'll buy the next ones. Like, it's like you're paying like $15 for a much smaller book, although these are worth it because they have art in them. And that's another thing that kind of made me laugh too while I was reading the books, or this book. But like, okay, even this is funny. It's like just some guy, like, he's pointing for directions or something, and it's a dog man. Like, yeah, in general, this was funny. And I'll have you know, the illustrations barely have anything to do with the story. It's like, it's just fucking weird. But yes, this one did make me giggle. I should read the next one. I don't know. Let me know. Should I buy the next one? Is it worth it? If I really liked this one, the first one, should I buy A Mirror Mended? Is it worth it? Okay, number 5, a book that makes you green with envy. So what, like being jealous of a character, like a specific thing? Again, a lot of the books that I read are not set in very nice places, so there isn't much to be jealous of. Well, I ain't picking any horror books, that's for sure, because fuck that noise. I don't know. I almost picked House of Earth and Blood, but then I'm like, no, that world is it's fucked. It's like, no, nothing about that am I jealous of, other than like maybe just being a fairy and being able to use magic. But I could pick something better for that, right? There's got to be a better world out there that I could choose from. Maybe not. I might be totally wrong. You know what? Okay, now I have one. All right, you ready to discover one of my oldest copies? Or rather, I don't think it's my oldest copy that I've owned, but I definitely purposefully fucked this book up so that I could own it. It was a library. I bought it from, I borrowed it from the library and I just wanted to own it myself. So I literally I spilled stuff on it. This copy has been through some shit. But anyways, The Lightning Thief. I would probably want to be a demigod. I know that the whole series is about how you probably don't want to be a demigod because then you get involved in so much shit. But hear me out. I am green with envy about simply attending Camp Half-Blood and knowing all, like, being able to see all the mythological stuff, but I am not envious of Percy himself or his friends or the people who get involved in it. I would just be, like, the demigod of a minor deity, like maybe Hecate or Hestia or something like that, like something very minor, and just, like, mind my own business, but still be in this world because it's still technically set in our world, and you get to just have the little perks of having a little bit of godliness in you, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, no, I'm not jealous of Percy at all. I should probably reread these. Isn't there going to be a show coming out soon on Disney Plus? They don't do this anymore in libraries. Oh wow, I really spilled something bad in here. Look at that. I really wanted to own this book, huh? Maybe I should just rebuy the books. Oh, when chapters used to have titles. What? I don't think I have ever, you know, now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen a lot of books with, like, titled chapters. Maybe it's a middle grade young adult thing that's more popular. I don't know. Number 6, a book that scared the pants off you. I could name a few, and I already talked about The Deep in other videos because I have a phobia of open waters. So that one was kind of creepy, but I also didn't really like the book that much, so I think that kind of took down my, like, general fear. But a book that did really creep me out was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I want to read more by this author. I've heard that his other books are really good. But yes, this book had multiple moments that creeped me out quite a bit. Especially the attic scene. If you've read this, you probably know what I'm talking about. When she's stuck in the attic, I was literally sitting there, I was like, oh. I had to close the book. That's how fucking terrified I was. I was like, I'm just gonna close this and come back to it later. Yeah, this one, pretty creepy. Number 7, a book that bored you to tears or put you to sleep. Do I have any that are on my shelves that I can show? Otherwise, I can think of one. I just don't even remember the title. Babe is snoring in the background. She's having a great nap. Gosh, that's so cute. I mean, I could mention Dune again. I was really bored reading that book. Okay, because there are a lot of books that do bore me to death, but I will typically DNF them, so it's kind of hard for me to, I guess, pick something that I've finished that bored me to death, but I will choose, I don't remember what the title is, but I'm sure I will find it because I film with my phone, so I can't just look. But I'll put the picture there. It was for my book club. It was a book club read. And it was short and it was pretty quick to get through. But I was bored the whole time. Like, it's just a contemporary. And I guess it especially really annoyed me and bored me because my expectations of it were of something very different. I expected kind of more of a very minor sci-fi / magical realistic twist to it, and it did not have that. I guess it just didn't impact me at all, and everything that happened, I was just like, oh my god, I don't care. Yeah, I skimmed through it so fast just to say that I finished it, and I only finished it because it was really short. That's it. Number 8, a super steamy book. Well, I'll mention the last steamy book I read, which was All Eyes on You, I think. It's part of a series. I think the series is called The Salacious Club something. But yeah, very steamy. Woo, very steamy. But also very, very deep and emotional with some really great character work and delves into mental illness and personal struggles, really. And I thought that it was super good, and the steam and great. So yeah, if you're interested, I recommend. You can get them on Kindle Unlimited for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. Number 9, a book that inspires you or motivates you to be your best self. Damn, book that motivates me to be my best self. Well, I only really read fantasy and sci-fi and horror. So I already, not to be like a narcissist or anything, but I like who I am. It took me a long time to get to this, okay? It takes a lot of work and a lot of self-love to be okay with who you are. I don't know. I can't. Am I allowed to not have an answer for this one? The only one that's coming up in my mind is last year I read it was like a humor slash autobiography self-help kind of book, and I remembered listening to it on audio, and it's called Broken in All the Best Possible Ways, I think is what the title was. I don't remember the author, but I'll have it up here. It has a cute cover too. I love it, where she's like holding this like monster thing. And I just remember that it was I just connected with it a lot, where it was, you're never gonna be perfect. You're never going to be always, your best self, but you can be happy of your failings too. And a lot of it was just told in such a funny way too, where it was like her saying, I remember specifically her talking about like, she's getting off an elevator, she lost a shoe, her dress ripped, like she was just a total mess, and ended up sitting there laughing and walking around with like one shoe on because the heel broke or something. And I was like, that's happened to me sometimes. Like, not that specific scenario, but sometimes you just don't care anymore. You just walk around with your broken heel, your ripped dress, and you're like laughing and smiling because you're like, fuck it. Who cares anyways? And I think that book, yeah, I do think back to it a lot sometimes to just find humor in the darkest times. And that's helpful. And I do think that one makes me want to continue to be happy about who I am and not criticize myself so much. And finally, number 10, a book that makes you nostalgic. Well, this one is easy. I don't know why, but this year I have been feeling very nostalgic about many things, and I decided to reread my very favorite childhood series, Gregor the Overlander, or the entire series is called the Underland Chronicles. And they are amazing. And honestly, I hadn't read these since I was, 9 or 10. And I finally decided, I was like, fuck it, let's just read them again. Because again, I was feeling nostalgic. And I was worried that I wouldn't love it as much as I did when I was a kid. But damn, I'm so glad that I did, because it's almost like rekindled that joy that I have for reading, for being a reader, for loving stories. That's what this book did for me as a kid, and it's doing it still as an adult. And I love it, and it just, it makes me so nostalgic. It's like I have so many memories now of reading this when I was younger, when my parents were like driving us somewhere, and I was just trying to read this in the back seat. And I was not a very good reader either, so it took me a long time to get through these books. But yeah, I'm gonna say it. This is the best middle grade series that is out there, and everyone should read it. It is by Susan Collins, the same author who wrote The Hunger Games. Read it, please, because I personally think that this series is better than The Hunger Games. I said it, and I stand by it, and it's amazing. Anyways, that's it for the tag. I do really love this tag, and I think it's great. I admire people who create tags. I have no idea how to do that shit. I don't have the, creativity to think of things to associate with books. I don't have that. I just read them and enjoy them and share my feelings about them. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a great rest of your day. I will see you next time. Bye!